It's no surprise that your testosterone is under attack in today's modern day lifestyle. Okay. As you go to work, you come home, you doom scroll, the things you eat, the things that you expose your body to in today's day and age are not conducive to a high T lifestyle, which is why I created the modern man's blueprint to a high T lifestyle. Things are different than they were 50 years ago, 100 years ago. And so we need to account for these variables, which is why I'm going to show you the 3 pillars of a high T lifestyle. Okay. Training, nutrition, and lifestyle design. These are going to be your 3 pillars for your complete testosterone increase of production. First thing, training. We're going to cover training, we're going to cover the nutrition, and we're going to cover the lifestyle. But at the center of all of this is just the simple be him. Be him mentality. This can all be chalked up to just be him. And by being him, it just means by being yourself throughout your day and to not take things too seriously and to have a fascination and a joy of life. That's what I would categorize as be him as. So, wasting no time here. Training, motion with muscle. That's what I call this because we're going to get the anabolic benefits of both sprinting, movement, athleticism, and lifting heavy weights multiple times. I'm going to cover the lifting part first. All of your primary lifts will be some form of a squat, hinge, lunge, push, or pull. Okay, for instance, a lunge, it might be a Cossack squat where we're getting in the transverse plane, or it could be a reverse lunge where we're in the sagittal plane. So, frontal plane. So this is why we need movement variability within our compound lifts, and it doesn't have to be conventional barbell lifts either. Example, a Zercher squat. I love Zercher squats. I love them better than barbell back squats, even though it's not as conducive to maybe hypertrophy for quad muscles. I still think, for me personally, because of my back injury, it's a better variation. Pick things that are advantageous to your body. Doesn't mean you have to be married to those different exercises, but hang out there if you need to. Your training, like I said, should have some form of a squat, hinge, lunge, push, or pull. Okay? That should be in your program, in your training, no matter where you are with that. And these can be machines too. This can be a hack squat machine, like a belt squat. Make things advantageous to you. This is the no BS strength progression for compound lifts, all right? 3 by 6 to 10. This can be 4 by 6 to 10 if you want. I just picked 3 as a nice little middle ground. You start with the weight that you can get 3 by 6 with. Now, once you get 3 by 6, week over week, you can see here, we want to fill up these progress bars. Act like it's a video game. See if you can fill up that progress bar as quick as possible. Once you fill that up, increase the load and go back down again. You could run this for quite literally a year and still see progress, provided that you're fueling correctly. Now for your accessory / pump work, I like to call it, these are more of your single joint movements, machine work, 2 sets taken to failure, follow the 2 by 8 to 12 rule, and then follow that same progression. So once you reach 12, go into failure. If you reach 13, increase the load, go again. Simple, super straightforward, and that's how it should be. You should be thinking like a caveman whenever you go and lift. You see a heavy rock, you lift it. Tomorrow you're going to lift it again more times. Moving on to our athletic movements, right? High leverage focus for this. These are going to be your primary athletic movements, and everything that you do athletically will combine one or more of these movements, which is jumping, landing, throwing and striking, locomotion, which is running, and rotation. I'm going to focus here on running and sprints because that is the primary lever, highest lever that we can pull for anabolic testosterone production, high T output. So I want you to follow this high CNS progression, low to high. Jump rope, so an extensive low-level plyometric like jump rope, moving into skips, which is more coordination and rhythm, bounds, which is going to be A lot of force, little amount of time, build-ups, and then finally sprints. So to go into a little bit more depth, jump rope, skips, these are gonna be like your A skips. Oh, wow. A skips, B skips. If you want more information on that, check out my Instagram. I have videos on that as well. And then for your bounds, bounds are interesting because they are kind of the intersection between we're getting off the couch to, okay, now we're really getting athletic here. We're getting our body moving. Bounds, you can either bound for distance or you can bound for height, which is like a power skip. But the key here is that it's going to be a good litmus test, because if you can go for a 30-yard bounding for distance, we're putting a lot of force on each leg as we're bounding. And so if we feel good after our bounds, that means that it's a green flag for us to continue to do some work. And if it's not feeling good, that means we should probably spend more time down here with the jump ropes and the skips, low level plyometrics. Build-ups, these are going to be your build-ups into a max velocity. So most people, they don't do it for as long as I do it. I typically build up for 30 to 40 yards. That provides you a nice gradual runway for you to fly, quote unquote. Flying is holding that velocity for 10 to 15 yards and then dribbling out. Build-ups are a great way to quite literally build your way up into reaching that max velocity and then holding it. Now, after you have that, then the final step is just sprinting. The highest, most potent stimulus, the acute growth hormone, the acute testosterone production that you get from this is upwards of like 300% acutely, mind you, but still that is pretty insane. And if you just look at a sprinter, you can see the effects of what it does to your body. So this is the last one here. That's the acceleration aspect of it. This is reserved for after you have earned the right going through this progression. All right, training, boom, covered. Now let's move on to our nutrition. Nutrition here, I like to call these the staples. Now, the staples, these are going to be your building blocks for testosterone production. This is going to be your saturated fat, your cholesterol, protein, vitamins, and minerals like vitamin D3, zinc, selenium. So we want to pick animal-based sources of protein, okay? We're not vegetarian. That's just not going to be conducive to a high T lifestyle. Steak, eggs, chicken, lamb, salmon. Animal-based sources like these are going to be your protein anchors, okay? Notice how a lot of these have fat on them. They have fat on them, which is fine, given though that one, it's in our caloric intake and we're making sure that our body composition in totality is lean, right? 10% body fat, 9%. That is what is conducive. Don't want to get too lean, that's whenever things get actually the opposite effect, but we want to be lean overall. Protein accessories, so we have here milk, beans, raw cheese, non-fat plain Greek yogurt. This is here for just pure convenience sake too. Like if you're going to work and you can hammer out a Greek yogurt bowl, awesome. Like if we're meeting our protein target and we're building lean muscle, which lean muscle is a metabolic asset for testosterone production, then we need to have convenient things like a milk with protein shakes or non-fat plain Greek yogurt, okay? That should be pretty straightforward there. Now carbs, these are going to be your performance enhancing drugs for high intensity exercise, for high performance, okay? If we think about how your body uses fuel for things like heavy lifting, for sprinting, primarily anabolic activities, they're going to be using glycolytic glucose, which is coming from carbs. Now, if you're doing low intensity, which is still important, by the way, I'll make a video on this later, but low intensity, steady state exercises are very important. That's going to be primarily your fat oxidation. So we're going to be using fat as fuel. One ingredient, simple and clean for our carbs. My rule, 4 hours before, you want to prioritize those complex carbs. So that's going to be your potatoes, your brown rice, oats. With 1 hour before your training, prioritize the simple carbs for immediate energy usage, such as your fruit, dates, banana, kiwi, and honey. So white rice as well. And structure these not only before, but also after too. After is important because we want to make sure that we're recovering as well. Fats and veggies, treat these as a supplement. So what I mean by that is that they are a supplement. They're not going to be directly sourced. Like I don't think to myself, oh, look, I need my fat intake for today. It's like, no, it's very tactical. It's the things that I cook with. It's the accessories that I put on my meal. And for fats, fats, there are levels to fat. There's good sources of fat and bad sources. Your good sources are going to be your medium chain triglycerides, which your body will use as ketones for fuel, which is your coconut oil, monounsaturated fatty acids, and then your polyunsaturated fatty acids, which are your omega-3s, coming from things like sardines and salmon, like fatty fish. Avoid things like omega-6, seed oils, and trans fat. These are actual slop. These are your engine lubricants. These are your highly processed forms of oil. Do not, by all means, please avoid them when possible. It's not like it's going to kill you, but like what are we doing if we're just hammering trans fat and omega-6s? I cook with coconut oil. I recently switched over. I've been loving it. I've been absolutely loving it. But that being said, olive oil, avocados, like I said, mentioned sardines, fatty fish, they're all good sources. And then veggies as well. Veggies I included down here is because we need some sort of fiber in our diet for satiety. If we're just eating protein and fruit and white rice, you're not going to be as full. That's just personal anecdotal experience. You're not going to be as full. We need something to provide satiety and some fiber to maintain our gut health. So, there's conflicting advice. My advice to you, based off of personal experience, is that you're going to need some sort of veggies in your diet. Micronutrients, fiber, those are good in totality. Not an exhaustive list, by the way, for all these foods. But if we follow this will be your playbook for nutrition when it comes to testosterone production. Last but not least, lifestyle design. This is arguably one of the most, if not the most important things, especially when we talk about the base of our lifestyle pyramid, which is faith in Jesus Christ. Faith in Jesus Christ is the most important thing that you can have in your life and how you structure your lifestyle. Read the Bible, read the Gospels, look at what Jesus did, look at how he conducted his life. There is nothing more high testosterone than what he did on the cross through his service and what he did for us. Study Jesus if you want to know what a high testosterone lifestyle means. Also, too, this is how we reduce stress in our life, because if we think that everything's in my power and I have to control all these things, instead of asking God and having your faith in Jesus because he's the rock, he's the root that you have your life centered around, it provides you with this relief. That's the best way I can describe it. This relief and this joy that you have, even when challenges come, because the challenges will always come, but you don't have to go at it alone. You can have your faith in Jesus Christ. On top of that, your self-image and winning are going to impact your testosterone production as well. Because if your body biologically has no signals for you to make testosterone, then it won't. And your self-image is a key aspect of that. So how do we increase our self-image and how do we increase winning? One, we need to have some sort of competition in our life. We have to have some sort of competition, whether that's playing pickup basketball, whether it's martial arts, playing a sport. We need to have something that we need to compete in that is healthy, that we are getting better at and being intentional about too. Find your thing, find your hobby, and make that something that you start winning at. Winning can also just be in your day-to-day life throughout the decisions that you make. Today, I woke up early. It's, early in the morning right now. I filmed this 2 different times. And that right there, I could have given up and not filmed this, but I woke up early and I filmed it anyway. Right now, talking to you, Those little things, saying no to corn, to the snooze button, to being a coward, to doom scrolling, right? The more that we can win those little battles, the more our self-image will increase because we have that stack of proof that our subconscious downloads. So, self-image and winning, these go hand in hand. Winning will improve your self-image. Self-image will increase the likelihood that you go and win. Next thing, sleep and lower baseline stress. So, it is no surprise, you've heard this time and time again, that sleep and your stress will impact your testosterone because your hypothalamus will not send those pulsing signals to increase your testosterone if it is chronically stressed and out of whack. So we need to sleep well. We need to downregulate our nervous system at night, which means no blue light, getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep each night. I know that sounds like a lot for some of you, but it's important. Wim Hof, you can see here, doing things that will lower your baseline stress. I love cold exposure. I really do. But it has to be tactical, and it can't be, for instance, stacking multiple stimulus at once. For instance, doing a cold plunge and then having caffeine and then having nicotine. Those are going to be a cortisol overload. But a healthy rise in cortisol is good. A healthy amount of stress is good because it increases your stress tolerance. So a brief cold exposure is okay in the morning. And then obviously counteracting that with just sunlight. Sunlight, great for mitochondrial health and lowering your baseline stress. And just taking a time out of your day, a 1 hour day just to chill. 30 minutes to an hour just to absolutely unwind and chill. Go read a book. Go for a walk. Spend some time just being bored. Allow yourself to be bored and be creative. Some of my best ideas come whenever I just intentionally do nothing. And last but not least, biohacking. So you can go to my Instagram and look at some of the supplements that I take. The key supplements that you're going to want to take that I would recommend, obviously this is at your own discretion, are going to be 1, vitamin D3, and K2, magnesium, black ginger extract, ashwagandha, cycle it though, don't take that for an extended period of time, and creatine, and protein powder if you count that. Those things will do you justice. Obviously caffeine too. That doesn't directly, but if it helps you lift and helps you get your day started, by all means. Cheers to that. Blue light glasses. These will help you if you're working at night, help you to work if you need to without the blue light and dysregulating your circadian rhythm, which is also helpful. And then wired headphones as well. No EMFs. This is very like psycho, very into the weeds, but yeah, those will do you justice in totality when living that high T lifestyle. This is it. This is seriously having faith in Jesus Christ, self-image and winning, having that competition, and lowering your stress with proper supplementation are going to be the keys to a high T lifestyle. You can see here the intersections of these two. So lifting with real intent, making sure that when we're in the gym for an hour, 45 minutes, that it has to be high intent. Competing and tracking your lifts. If we're not tracking anything, then how are we going to know that we're getting better? Nutrition and training, carb timing, protein intake, and metabolic flexibility. That means using both fats and carbs as fuel. And that is through, I can't get into it right now, but having some days where it's higher fat and higher carb, depending on what you're doing in that given day. And then lifestyle and nutrition, meal prep, not eating goy slop, not, tracking the macros, making sure that we are tracking the macros so that the high level things are taken care of, right? This will do you more justice than the steak on the wood cutting board. So with that being said, that is how you live a high testosterone lifestyle. Guys, if you want to schedule a call down below to actually transform your health and performance, click that link, and I cannot wait to see you in the next video. Peace out.